Okay. Perfect. Can you see my screen? Yeah, perfect. Yes. Just a quick introduction of why we are here today. As you may know, because you have heard about the Plan4CET project, or you have seen that on the Federer social media newsletter, this webinar today is the second webinar of the Transition Expert Program of the Plan4CET project. I'm just going to talk about the Plan4CET project, just to give you an overview of what it is and what we are doing today. So Plan4CET is a live CET project, which aim is to support European regions and cities in the design, development, and implementation of clean energy transition plans that needs to be tailored to their needs and possibility. How does the Plan4CET project intend to achieve this aim? So first of all, by supporting the institutionalization of CET governance, mobilizing local actors, creating opportunities for participation and engagement. By executing integrated and intersectoral CET planning, and then by providing local authorities with new competencies through capacity building of policymakers and their municipal staff, offering specialized support to municipalities and regions. So the transition expert is part of a set of 3 different training opportunities of the Plan4CET project. And we have, of course, the transition expert, which foresees a total of 10 webinars. 5 webinars are called the Common Ground webinars, meaning that they are the same webinars for the 3 pilot regions of the Plan4CET projects, which are Navarra in Spain, Scone in Sweden, and Parma in Italy. And then there will be other 5 webinars that are local and that are going to be made in the languages of the pilots. Then we have another program of the Plan4CET project, which is the Transition Manager. This training opportunity is in progress in the pilot regions. And then another one that is called the Zero Carbon Community Manager that still needs to start. You can see in the slide we have all the partners of the Plan4CET project, and something else to state is that everything that is going to be developed in the Plan4CET project, the tools and methodologies will be stored in the Plan4CET website that you can reach at plan4cet.eu. I'm going to give the floor to Florine.
Thank you, Irene. So the second project is also a live CET project, also focusing on the process of implementation of and a setup of regional and local clean energy plans. And specifically, the Regio1st focuses on the implementation and integration of the energy efficiency first principle into regional and local energy plans, and more broadly on energy efficiency policies in this context. The specific energy efficiency first principle has been defined by the latest revised energy efficiency directive, with the aim of ensuring that only the energy really needed is produced, and that investment in stranded assets are avoided, and that the demand for energy is reduced and managed in a cost-effective way. So that's why it's a very interesting lever to be integrated as part of the regional and local energy and climate plans. And that's why the Regio1st project is focusing specifically on this dimension, with a strong consortium of 6 pilot regions from Liguria in Italy, Asturias in Spain, Southeast Ireland, Međimurje County in Croatia, Spodnje Podravje regions in Slovenia, and the Western Macedonian region in Greece, represented by our panelist, Dr. Natalia Boemi, that is with us today. With this consortium, the project has developed several tools. The main one is a comprehensive online tool that is an interactive and tailored step-by-step guide to support the implementation of energy efficiency policies, specifically the energy efficiency first principle in the planning process. And this comprehensive guide is free of charge and can be used by any local and regional stakeholder and is available on our website. And furthermore, to help you to use the tool, a mentoring program is going to start as of January next year. And it will give the opportunity to be mentored by the Regio1st pilot regions and to help you really tailor-made advice on your CET process and integration of the energy efficiency first principle in your planning process. So yeah, registration are open until December 13th, so don't hesitate to register. It's also on the Regio1st website, and yeah. And if you like this webinar today, well, I would advise you to keep in touch because another webinar is going to happen by the end of February. With the Managed Energy Project, which is a capacity building program for energy agencies and local municipalities and regions to help them in the process of the clean energy transition as well. So yes, without further ado, I think we can start the webinar. So this is the agenda of today. We will have 3 panelists on board, and then we will open the floor to broader discussion with the audience. So don't hesitate to write down already in the chat during the presentation if you have questions, and we will monitor the discussion with Irene after the presentations. So first of all, we will have Weronika Jirikova on board. She's a policy officer on energy efficiency at the European Commission, and she works in DG Energy in the Energy Efficiency Unit. She focuses on the implementation of the Energy Efficiency First principle and its further development. So she is responsible basically for Article 3 of the Energy Efficiency Directive, which lays down the requirements for the application of this principle by the member states. And she supports the member states in the transition and in the implementation of the specific article. After this, we'll have a presentation by Dr. Sofia Natalia Boemi, who is a senior expert in energy efficiency and energy poverty. She currently leads the Energy and Climate Action Department within the cluster of bioeconomy and environment in Western Macedonia, Pube. And she serves as a postdoctoral research fellow at Aristotle University of Thessaloniki at the same time. And our third, last but not least, panelist is Lydia Salam. I hope I pronounce it right. Lydia is a project manager in the Energy Agency of Southern Sweden since almost 8 years after starting as an engineer in the agency. And apart from the Plan4CET project and clean energy planning, her expertise focuses mainly on energy efficiency, specifically in buildings and building renovation. Without further ado, I would give the floor to Veronika.
Thank you very much, Florine. I'll just start sharing my presentation and we can dive right into it. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. As said by Florine, I work in the European Commission in DG ENE, where we are responsible for the main legal file, which lays down the requirement for the application of the principle. And so I will focus in my presentation a little bit on guiding you through the legal requirements at EU level. So just a brief overview of Energy Efficiency First. It's been around for almost 10 years because it was first introduced in 2015 in the Strategy for Energy Union. And then 3 years later, in 2018, we had the governance regulation, which provides for member states the requirement that they need to draw up their national energy and climate plans.
And in the governance regulation, for the first time, we had a requirement for member states to consider the energy efficiency first principle in their plans in 2 dimensions, which are explicitly mentioned: energy security and internal energy market. Now, the Commission assessed the draft NECPs and the final NECPs both in 2019, so the first ones, and also this year. And unfortunately, we have observed that member states haven't really taken the principle into account. So as a response to the first round of NECPs, the Commission decided to include more stringent requirements in the Energy Efficiency Directive, which was proposed for revision as part of the Fit for 55 package in 2021, and it entered into force in 2023. Member states are now transposing the new provisions. And so the novelty here with the ED recast was that there is a new article, Article 3, and there are clear requirements for member states to apply energy efficiency first, both in the energy sector, but also in non-energy sectors, which have an impact on energy consumption. So I will dive a little bit more in detail on Article 3. So here you can see the main requirements which member states have. So first of all, they need to apply the principle in planning, policy, and major investment decisions, as I've already said, both in the energy system and also non-energy sectors. Now, what does it mean to apply the principle? It means that for all of these decisions, energy efficiency solutions need to be assessed. We'll get to that a little bit more in detail later. What the directive does is that it defines major investment decisions, as you can see these thresholds. So a major investment decision for the purpose of energy efficiency first would be a decision of more than 100 million euros. It's a bit higher for transport energy infrastructure, where it's 175 million euros. So that's the first requirement. The second one, we know that monitoring is extremely important. So there is a requirement for member states to ensure that the application of the principle is monitored. And there is a requirement for them to identify a monitoring entity or entities. And last but not least, member states are also required to promote and apply cost-benefit methodologies. And the specificity here for these cost-benefit methodologies is that they should be able to properly assess various wider benefits of energy efficiency. So we know that energy efficiency, obviously the main benefit is that it saves energy, but it's the most obvious one. There are also other social, economic, or environmental benefits, and these should be properly assessed so that the energy efficiency solutions show really the added value in the broadest sense possible. So to accompany the proposal in 2021, the Commission already issued a first recommendation on the energy efficiency first principle, which is entitled from principle to practice. And what I wanted to show here is a 3-step process to basically decide on the applicability of the principle. So there are 3 steps. The first one is to consider whether energy efficiency is an option. And you can see a set of questions for each of these steps. So, so the starting point is always for any decision, policy, planning, or investment decision to ask whether energy efficiency is an option. What does it mean? It means to think about whether the initiative affects energy consumption, whether energy efficiency could help achieve the same objective, and whether there are actually energy efficiency solutions which could be considered. So that's really the basic step. The second one, if we establish that energy efficiency is an option, is to think about whether the energy efficiency option is feasible to implement. So this means, as I said, for the cost-benefit methodologies, is it possible to actually estimate or quantify those wider benefits? Are there any barriers to implement the energy efficiency solution? And can it be ensured that the energy efficiency solution would achieve the same objective? So that's the second step. And the last one would be whether energy efficiency could actually be properly implemented on the ground. So this means whether the entities who would be responsible for the implementation know how to assess energy efficiency. I think this is quite relevant for the regional and local level. Are there sufficient resources? Because obviously all these assessments require resources, both human, but also financial, technical, etc. And then are there mechanisms in place which would allow enforcing and verifying the implementation? So as you can see, it's not so straightforward as it might seem, but this three-step process could be a good starting point. So often when we discuss with member states about the application of the energy efficiency first principle, and as you saw, there are many requirements also when it comes to verifying or monitoring. I think it's important to have in mind that what the Energy Efficiency Directive requires is to incorporate the principle or the assessment into procedures, be it approval procedures, for example, or monitoring procedures, which are already in place without duplicating any existing assessments. What is important is to capture all decisions which have significant impacts on energy demand or supply. And the factors which should be considered are the nature of the project, the size, the location. As we've seen with the directive, the major investment decisions are defined by monetary terms, meaning the level of the investment in financial terms. But another factors which could be considered, for example, the size of the project or the impact it has on energy consumption. Now, when it comes to, so these assessment procedures for investment decisions, there are already approval or monitoring requirements. I think the question is to ask whether for the other levels, so planning or policy decisions, what would be the triggering points in the initial phases and how, as part of these discovery processes, energy efficiency could be incorporated. So maybe this could be a question also for discussion at the local or regional level. What could be the triggering points in the initial phases where energy efficiency could be incorporated? Now, when it comes to assessing alternatives under energy efficiency first, I wanted to provide here just a little summary. So I think it's important to realize that energy efficiency first doesn't mean energy efficiency always and at all costs. It means the main objective of the principle is to consider energy efficiency solutions and whether they could reply to the same need or objective. What is important is regardless of whether the energy efficiency solution is taken as the way forward, whether a careful assessment of energy efficiency solutions could be demonstrated. So this is crucial. And I think it's much easier to apply the principle at the planning stage, for example. It can be more challenging to apply the principle at the lower asset level, but still this is possible. And with the principle, what at least the Commission's approach to it, what we are trying to do is to, even at the lower asset level, make sure that energy efficiency performance of specific solutions is identified, and if possible, that this solution is chosen as the preferred way forward. And I would like to show this at an example that we've developed for a hypothetical decision in the transport sector. So you can see here a table. On the left side, you can see the planning stage, the policy stage, and the major investment decision stage. And at each stage, you can see the alternatives, which can always be looked at. And you can see that there are always alternatives at each level. So if we start with the planning, for this example, we've thought of a new city expansion, which is being designed and accompanied by a ring road. So at the planning stage, when you're looking for alternatives, some of the questions that we can think of are whether the urban plan is optimized for sustainable urban mobility, whether expansion of the public transport system is adequate, or whether instead of broader roads, investments could be made in a new tram or train line. Then when we get to the policy level, and we are looking for alternatives in relevant policies, then some of the approaches we could look at is whether a sustainable urban mobility plan which favors soft mobility, so cycling, walking, etc., instead of car use, construction of cycling infrastructure instead of new car parking spaces. And then let's say that after all of these considerations at the planning and policy level, we get to the major investment decision. So it was decided that there is no alternative, and the best way forward would be to go ahead and construct the new ring road. Still, we could be looking for more energy efficient alternatives, and for example, look at road surface alternatives to improve energy usage. So again, just to show that even at the lowest asset level, with applying the energy efficiency first principle, we should be looking at the solution, which is the most energy efficient energy efficient. So just a little example to conclude. I provide here the links to the 2 recommendations which have been issued so far by the Commission. So the one from 2021, and more recently also in July this year, we published a recommendation on the new Article 3. So these are definitely sources that I would encourage you to have a look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica, for this super comprehensive presentation. And thank you, Jean-Sébastien, also for the link that you put in the chat that are actually what Veronica mentioned, the 2 recommendations of 2021 and of 2024 on the Article 3. So you can directly have a look. The links are in the chat. And thank you for this last concrete example on transport. I think it's a good bridge to our next presentation. So without further ado, I will give the floor to Natalia Boemi to dive a bit deeper into the concrete case study of Western Macedonia in implementing the energy efficiency first principle. Natalia, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Florine. Thank you very much all for inviting me here. Let me share my screen as well. Okay, you can see my presentation now. So let me start from the scratch. Okay, I come from Klube, which, as you mentioned, is the cluster of bioeconomy of Western Macedonia. It's a non-profit legal entity that acts as a regional energy agency in Greece. We were established 10 years ago, and we have several departments that we focus on research, development, and the business activities. As you probably already are aware, the region of Western Macedonia is a just transition area. It includes 13 municipalities with around 250,000 people, with a decrease between the last decade about 10%, because due to the just transition, due to the energy transition, many people were obliged to change the area of living because they have to change their work. About the population, it's 50-50%. We are aware that energy poverty affects more women. That's why it is important. That's why I mentioned that. And also, there is the transition affects the woman more as well. We have a small number of decrease, around 3.1% the last decade, and we have an increase in the non-active population, which is the population over 50 years old. What is important to say is that even though we are located in Greece, it's the only region without sea, so we don't have as one of the products the tourism. In fact, it's the only area that does not have many hotels. We have a quite important GDP, which reached around 5 billion euro in 2009, and followed by a sharp drop to around 4 billion euros in 2016 as a result of the decline in lignite production combined with the onset of the country's economic and financial crisis. We have a really high number of unemployment. But even though many changes has occurred during the last 10 years, the Western Macedonia was and still remains the energy center of Greece. We have around 3,200 people that occupied with in 2,000 lignite jobs. Even in Greece now, with more than 50% of the energy is produced by renewables, we still have the production for the lignite that goes to the other Balkan countries. Also, we have 30% of the gross value added comes from the lignite activities. And what it is important also to say, in the capital of Western Macedonia, which is Kozani, there is the largest PV installation in operation in Greece, as well one of the largest photovoltaic parks in Europe, which is important because it also provides many jobs. So a few words about, even though Florence said a few words about Regio1st, we are part of the Regio1st. In fact, we are one of the pilot regions. It is a pilot that started a few years ago, and its main concept is, as it was discussed before me, it was to see how all the regions can implement the energy efficiency first principle. So here are the partners, and we are one of the pilot regions. And while trying to implement the energy efficiency first principle in Western Macedonia, we started by recording the current situation. So concerning the energy policy planning, there is a lack in Greece with targeted instruments or national policies to motivate local and regional governments to establish ambitious energy plans, because mainly the energy planning is being viewed in a national level, not in a regional level, not even in a local level. Concerning the financial, because we are a just transition area, we have our own regional operational program, and we also have some money from the just transition mechanism, which are really important in order to try to afford that just transition. And one of the barriers while trying to have that energy transition is that we don't have many relevant information. So we have a really huge gap of data, especially when it comes to the energy sector, and also when it comes to residential sector, when it comes to mobility sector, which are important elements about implementing the transition. We have a conflict of interest between the regional authorities and the stakeholders, because to be honest, they are not really aware who has to do what. Because there is that legislative framework that is not targeted, and whenever we have to implement something new, especially now that we have the climate law that comes into force, there are many time constraints, so things are going even slower. There is the uncertainty because the just transition was forced, that energy, the twin transition, I would say, the just transition was forced, and even before 5 years before, the people didn't even know what is energy transition. And there is a bias by inhabitants due to the lack of multi-phased knowledge. So fortunately, we are lucky to say that now the people and the citizens are aware of the energy transition and the twin transition and what it will come into force in the forthcoming years. But until now, there was a huge knowledge gap. And what we are trying to achieve at the moment in the region of Western Macedonia is to overcome that energy literacy that comes with the transition process. So our main challenges focus on gathering the relevant information to have a public acceptability of that twin transition process, and as well as energy transition, and afterward the digital transition. We have a lack of funding for energy efficiency measures, especially for the building sector. And also, it is really important to understand when we discuss about twin transition, is not about buildings, but it also includes many other things as well. As already mentioned, there is a legal gap. Something that it is really important, we have a lack of technical experts. So especially in an area like Western Macedonia, which is a quite huge area, there are not many people. And even in Central Macedonia, which is located next to Western Macedonia, then people are not willing to go there, to stay there in order to provide all their knowledge. There is a huge time gap with all the procedures. Since there is a data gap, there is also visibility lack. And we need more awareness in the aspect of engineers and constructors with whatever that has to do with all those energy and non-energy infrastructures that should be implemented and developed in the framework of the twin transition. So what we were trying to do in the framework of the Regio1st project, we were trying to implement that planning framework in order to assist the region of Western Macedonia to implement the energy efficiency first principle, to implement the EED, the recast of EED, and also to try to change the things and the perspectives of the local stakeholders, the stakeholders of the citizens, the people, in order to attract even more new infrastructures, but also to be part and to be the right roadmap and the right pathway of the energy transition. So that planning framework of the Regio1st includes the first stage, which was the preparation. I will show you the next slides what we have done. Also in that stage, the next stage is the engaging of the stakeholders and the building partnerships. What Klube is doing in the framework of not only of the project, but in general. The reviewing of the energy objectives and targets, we have done that, and we were in discussions with the local stakeholders. The exploring of the current regional energy system, we are in that stage at the moment. And also we have done the cost-benefit analysis, mainly for the building sector, but for the households. The next stage of the planning framework includes the assessing of the practical feasibility and low-cost energy solutions. The seventh stage is about defining the actions and developing the regional energy plan. And the last stage is about implementation and monitoring and review. So what we have done until now in that framework. We have done 3 regional workshops in order to mobilize the local energy stakeholders and in order to inform them about the recast of EED and about the energy efficiency first principle. The speakers and the participants were an MEP, people from DGNR, in order to present us what is the energy efficiency first principle and what is the EED recast, people from the Center of Renewable and Energy Sources, which is the technical advisor of Greece, of the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change here in Greece, the region of Western Macedonia, the local department of the Technical Chamber, and representatives from the municipalities and the region. Okay, the takeaway messages of all those 3 workshops were that there is a significant gap in participants' knowledge about the energy efficiency first principle and its relevance with climate neutrality and actions and activities. In fact, 42% of the people believe that energy transition is connected with reducing the region's carbon footprint. All participants were familiar with the existence of the just transition mechanism, but not with the procedures in order to attract funding. 56% responded that the administrative decision-making process for energy planning concerns all citizens and that they should be involved. So they are feeling that they are not included in all those procedures that really affects their lives. So the level of engagement is crucial as it empowers citizens to contribute and to take responsibility for the energy future. It's reassuring to know that 56% of the participants understand that the importance of the cost-benefit analysis, which is part of the recast of EED before any decision in energy planning. And 53% agree that the most important problem in energy planning is social cohesion and employment, which drive us also to one of the most important issues, which is energy poverty. Also, the second message that we received from the second regional workshop was that the primary objective was that even though we have we have ranked as key priorities the national and EU policies relevance, the regional strategy relevance, the stakeholder satisfaction, and the social acceptance as the main regional priorities, we have seen that what was most important for the participants is that it's not just transition, it's not energy saving, but it's the regional and local development. So they are focused more and they are concerned more of what they will do at the regional level and not how energy they will consume or how they will succeed in reducing their energy consumption, or even how to adapt to climate change, even though we are facing extreme weather conditions in the last 2 years. And what was really important to say, and what was really well noted, is that they don't really care about the protection of the environment, the biodiversity, and the land use, but they focus more, as I mentioned before, about the regional and the local development. And that also includes the funding procedures. And concluding, over the last workshop, the takeaway messages is that we need urgently to align with the regional energy strategies in order to be updated based on the new EED requirements, that it is crucial to employ cost-benefit analysis methodologies to prioritize energy measures despite the persistent challenge of insufficient and inaccessible data on energy consumption in public and residential buildings. And another critical focus was the uncertainty future of the Western Macedonia's district heating systems, because historically, Western Macedonia, and especially the cities of Kozani, Ptolemaida, and Amidio, are dependent on waste heat from lignite fire power plants in order to meet their energy needs. However, planned on the decommissioning of these plants, driven by Greece's Just Transition Initiative, we have to explore alternative. This year, they are mentioning that we will use renewables for heating, but at the moment, what it has been done is that they had decided to use LNG as a just transition fuel, or natural gas as also just transition fuel instead of renewables. So I'm not sure about the energy future of Western Macedonia. And the next steps is that in order to inform more regions about the energy efficiency first principle, the new ED, we will do in the forthcoming months a national event with the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change and the Association of Regions and Municipalities. As Western Macedonia, were the first test bed from the 6 regions that they are regional energy agencies that they are included in the Regio1st project, in order to develop some regional investment scenarios, in order to prioritize the energy efficiency solutions. And of course, we have the mentoring program that already Florine mentioned, that has 3 topics. The first topic is the energy efficiency in plants. The second topic is the multi-level governance. And the third topic that Klube is leading, the Just Transition Fund, that we will inform the participants about the financing mechanism of the Just Transition Fund in order to support regional energy efficiency actions. And in fact, we are trying to do also that seminar apart from English. We will try to do that seminar also in Greek, because people should be informed, and energy literacy is really what affects our region. So thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm in your disposal.
Thank you very much, Natalia. Without further ado, I will pass the floor to Lydia. Let's try to keep at least 10 minutes for the discussion. Thank you very much. Lydia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, great.
Yeah. Yeah. So today I'm going to, hello everybody, first of all. Today I'm going to talk about energy renovation of a block called Alabastern and the city of Växjö in Sweden. And this project has been undergoing from 2014 to 2020, and it was a part of the AU Project Ready within FB7 Lighthouse. Yeah, so you have had some information about me, but I'm going to take it again. So my name is Lydia Salame, and I work as a project manager in the energy agency of Southeast Sweden, and I work in energy efficiency in buildings, building renovations, and solar energy projects. And I have been focusing on these three main things since the start of my employment. First of all, I'm going to take some information about Sweden. In Sweden, we have three levels of government. We have national, regional, and local. The southern part of Sweden area contains 58 municipalities, and we have 4 regions that these municipalities are distributed on. We can say that these 4 regions have 4 counties, and the population is about 2 million, which is 1/5 of the total population in 2020, and it almost covers 18% of the total area of Sweden. In the area, we have the largest city in Sweden, which is Malmö, with approximately 325,000 inhabitants. And then we have other major cities like Lund. And we have, of course, the project or we have the city of Växjö, which the project I'm going to talk about is located in. And then we have Kalmar and Karlskrona. We are a non-profit organization, and we're called Regio1st Syd in Swedish. We are mainly financed through the projects we participate in, both on local, regional, and national level. The company is owned by an association where regions and municipalities in our area are members. So our mission is to support the public sector and the regional business by taking initiatives and manage projects. We help to transform into sustainable operations. Our overall objective is to change and improve society from an energy and sustainability perspective. So yeah, we strive to reduce the demands for energy, increase energy efficiency, and increase the share of renewable energy. We operate regionally in 4 counties in the southern part of Sweden, and we have offices in 5 cities, but we are not the only energy efficiency in Sweden. There are approximately 15 energy efficiencies that cover the whole area of Sweden. And in total, there are like 350 energy agencies within the AU, and they are an important part of implementing the energy and climate policies. Yeah, so some information about Växjö. Växjö has been given the title of the greenest city in Europe, and it has high ambitions to make Växjö sustainable, energy efficient, and fossil fuel free, and with a big share of wooden buildings. The Växjö municipality wants to be at the forefront and have had and still benefit from participating in various AU projects. And an example of that is a project called CESAC and the project Ready. Yeah, so today I'm going to focus on Block Alabastern, as I said earlier, which is located in Växjö. The project is about to demonstrate how smart data can be used for green business solutions in transportation, district heating, renewable energy, and building renovations. So the 6-year AU project READY has provided the opportunity to work on energy efficient renovations of what it's called in Swedish the Miljon program housing. So in 1960s, there were approximately 1 million houses that were built in Sweden, and some of them are undergoing renovations until now. So the project have focused on new IT technologies as well as to optimize and expand the municipality's bioenergy-based district heating and cooling system. So there were 313 apartments approximately that were been undergoing an energy renovation, and they have had 160 kilowatt hours per meter square energy consumption. So the READY project is an educational initiative on smart cities and has also been implemented during the project period. We have participated as an energy agency as experts, and we have led the work on innovative building solutions and the educational initiative. As you can see here, this is a picture of the block Alabaster before it went the process of renovation. We've had low rents in the area, and we've had low paying capability. So the area is common for these two problems, and it has also socio-economical problems. So this is the initial state in the area, as you see. This is an example from a building in the street of Hjalmar Petris. So these buildings are 3-story above ground. There are 2 staircases in the building. We have concrete framework in all the buildings, and it's 1,110 meter square heated total floor area, and the ventilated volume is 2,775 cubic meter, and each building contains 12 apartments. So the indoor temperature is 22 Celsius. We have the ventilation rate, which is 0.35, and the air tightness is approximately 50 Pascal. So we have the U values here of the windows, the doors, the attics floors, etc., which are somehow, as we say, not so good U values before the renovation, and you can see here the energy balance. It is 45 on sewage, 40 on ventilation, and the transmission was 75. And this is a picture of the buildings after they have underwent renovation. We can see the area has become more fresh, and we have gotten fresher playgrounds, and the buildings they seem to be nicer and fresher. So these were the final measures that were adopted in the buildings. For example, double flex ventilation with heat recovery, new windows, extra insulation on the roof, new radiators and pipes, individual monitoring for water, extra insulation below windows at balconies, new electrical system, entrance doors, apartment doors, new kitchens, wall surfaces, and new balcony fronts. And we see here that when we sum all of the final measures, we get a heat consumption of 75 kilowatt hours per meter square. So these are our monitoring results that we have been working on calculating. As you see here, we've had an energy consumption of 160. It was like a plump. And then when we did our monitoring calculations, we have come to that the heating is 46, the district hot water is 21, and the electricity is 8. And we have also we've had a theoretical target that we wanted to achieve, which wasn't really so far from what we have been calculating.
Lydia, I'm sorry to cut you. It's super interesting, but I really would like that we can keep some time for discussion. So can you be a bit quicker and maybe wrap up in a minute or two?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So this is the ventilation system with the heat recovery. We've got a new balanced ventilation. Yeah, we don't really need to go deeper into the details, and this is how it the picture of the ventilation. And then we have been working also on a special house in the block. So one house has been integrated with PVT and with heat recovery from wastewater. So this is the wastewater technique. And these are our calculations of the wastewater. Our calculation is that the wastewater heat from the recovery system is 65 megawatt hours per year, and the preliminary results have shown that the preliminary results have seen that we have gotten 55. I don't know why I don't have it here in the picture, but our calculations are not so far from the real values that we have got. And we have also individual monitoring on the domestic hot water. So the tenants, they pay for their water. This was something new implemented after the renovation. Yeah, and here you can see the PVT model that has been installed on one of the houses in order to get the target of 45 kilowatt hours per meter square of the total consumption, if we compare it to 75 in the rest of the buildings. So the aim was to get into the half, and we have succeeded in that. Yeah. So here you can see the final results that we have got. We have traditional and innovative measures that halve the energy consumption of the entire block. There have been installed a tenantal portal, which makes it easier for tenants to communicate with the building owners. And we have also worked with analyzing the measurements in order to get to the targets that we have been working on calculating. So and thanks to the heat recovery, we have also reduced the energy consumption by 50% to 70%. And we have also worked with another innovative solution to utilize the energy in multiple stages through working with the network operator Wexnet, which offered green data services, and thanks to Växjö Energy biofuel-based district cooperation. So finally, I want to say that the key to Växjö's success in advancing towards an energy smart city is their strategic governance. They have helped us in creating conditions for collaboration between internal and external stakeholders. And thanks to their political will, this was able to get success. Yeah, so this was everything I had from the ready projects. And please don't hesitate to ask your questions.
Insightful and very precise overview of the building renovation project. So we are running a bit out of time. So if there are any questions, well, don't hesitate to raise your hand or to write it in the chat before we wrap up the conversation. I don't see any raised hand. I don't know. Wow, it was very comprehensive presentations then. You said everything.
If
yes,
I may,
Veronica?
Yes, I might have a question for Lydia, because I'm wondering whether this renovation project is part of some municipal, urban planning, etc. Because we always emphasize that for energy efficiency first, what is important is that for example, renovation projects are done or thought of together with heat supply changes, etc. So I'm wondering whether this is part of some urban strategy, or maybe I've missed it, but I don't think you've mentioned that in your presentation.
Yeah, so this project was a part of the smart cities. So the target of the main project was to work with the whole city or the whole area, because Vecchio has gotten the title of the greenest city in Europe because they work with a lot of projects, regarding energy efficiency, and they also have a wooden strategy which says that approximately 70% of their buildings should be built in wood. And we have also a lot of new building projects always in the city. So I think it is a whole part of the policy of the municipality, and that's why they have been focusing on these parts.
Okay, clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. I see there is another question from Jean-Sébastien to Natalia. Are there any discussions in Western Macedonia about the risk of stranded assets in case of development of gas infrastructures?
Okay, Jean-Sebastian, you open. Thank you very much for the question, but you open a really big discussion because we are both aware of the decarbonization, and we have to phase out of coal by 2028. That's the plan for Greece. But we have decided that from now until the end of 2025, there will be some works about natural gas in order to go out of coal, but not go out of natural gas. So, and in fact, all the pipelines that will be used, they will be hydrogen ready. So that's why you open a really great discussion. So how all those pipelines that will be constructed until the end of 2025 will be used also for hydrogen purposes, even though there is no industry in the area. So I cannot really. Of course, they are aware of the risks, but the Western Macedonia is trying to be a hydrogen valley. Even we are part of an IPCA, so the discussion is quite big how we will achieve that. And also there are some, even though there are not many BESS projects, standalone battery projects in Western Macedonia, I'm not sure how we will achieve that. So yeah. I hope I answered a little bit your question, your question, but it's quite big.
Thank you, Natalia. So definitely discussion to be continued. I don't see any other questions. If you have any other question coming to your mind, because obviously we will not have time to go deeper into the discussion, don't hesitate to write it down in the chat anyways, and we will follow up on the questions whenever you have some question for the panelists that are here today. Thank you very much. We will close the discussion here, and with one last slide from the Plan4CET projects before we all go back. So
yes.
Irene,
I just wanted to share with you this slide here. As I told you, for the Plan4CET project, we are having in the Transition Expert Program different webinars, and I just take this occasion to show you the next and the third webinar of the series, which is going to be about climate change adaptation. It will be on the 10th of December, from 10 to 12 CET. So if you would like to participate in this new webinar, please scan the QR code and you can register, or you can find all the information in our website, in the Federal website. So thank you so much for this webinar. I hope it was really useful for all of you, and we'll see you in the next webinar of the series.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the panelists and the audience that participated today. and hopefully we see you on other Regio1st and Plan4CET events. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.